What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York. We are finally back at the Gramercy Theater after almost 2 long years, and this time we return with Lena of Infected Rain. Great to be able to talk with you. Thanks
Oh
for
my
being
God,
here.
thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's so awesome to have you here. I mean, does it feel like quite cathartic in a way that you had two North American tours scheduled? The first North American tour was supposed to be with Swallow the Sun, then Insomnium, but now we're finally making this happen. It's got to feel great to finally be here.
It is. It's almost like, you know, when like you tease little kids with candy, they're
Yeah.
like, yes, please, give me that, please. That's pretty much what happened. And then no candy for 2 years, and now I'm getting my candy today.
Oh, that's a great analogy. That's a great analogy. And I mean, how has touring North America finally been after all these years, 4 albums later?
So I always like to say, and I will include this here too, I don't do a big difference between countries or nationalities when it comes to crowd and when it comes to touring. However, because this is our like very first one, very first tour, we were curious to know the feedback of people and how many of them actually know the band, know the songs, you know. And it is almost like we've been here already, like a lot,
Yeah.
you know, and gives me goosebumps just to see all these faces singing along and having t-shirts of my band already from online purchase is supporting so much. Although we never played here, I believe we have the biggest following here in America.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, after Endorphin came out, a lot of people have been really hooked with Infected Rain, and this is like a pinnacle moment for a lot of people. One thing I'm very curious about is, as you know, Endorphin was my favorite album of 2019. I mentioned it at NAMM. Now, who would have thought that the world would have taken the world it did in 2020 after we were talking to each other at NAMM at the beginning of it?
Seriously, like 2 weeks after, right? Like
Yeah.
or three, because
3.
that was the end of February,
Yeah.
and the first lockdown was on the 16th.
Yeah.
Like literally a couple of weeks after.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
welcome
nobody
back.
knew. Nobody knew.
But I was listening to Endorphin. I still listen to it, and I feel like songs like the Earth Mantra or even Victims, for example, have like a lot more context, or they make a lot more sense now. Not that I'm saying that you predicted all this turmoil, but do you almost feel like the songs that you're going to be performing tonight have a little bit more context now after the direction that the world took?
Well, things they repeat themselves very often. So those songs had a specific meaning and a specific direction when I wrote them, but things they repeat themselves, sometimes harsher, sometimes less harsh, like catastrophes. Like, for example, this tour we had to skip a show because of the hurricane, and it's nature, and things like that happen all the time. However, things like COVID, I don't believe happened before, not at this extent, not at least on the memory of my parents. But yeah, I feel like the more people use and overuse and overconsume unnecessarily everything, really, but mainly nature and its gifts, the more we are going to end up in this position. So it's something that touches me super, super deep in my soul, and I care about this a lot, and that's the main reason why I decided to write about it.
I feel like a lot of the music in itself too. Like one of the first songs I listened to when it was lockdown and I had to run an essential errand, and the streets of New York were desolate. I live 4 blocks from here, so it's like it was desolate. Pendulum was one of the first songs I listened to, and it just had that desolate feeling behind it. I know some artists are skeptical on mentioning the meaning of songs, but Pendulum was a very interesting, because I was wondering what that 3-headed monster in those lyrics are representative
yes,
of.
thank you so much for asking. Actually, first of all, we will start today's show with that song.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Second of all, Pendulum was actually written about something that was, for some reason, following me for the past couple of years. And I'm talking about addictions. It didn't follow me specifically, directly, me, but the majority of people in my family and friends circle, I could see how addictions could eat people alive. And when I say addictions, I don't just talk about the classic ones like cigarettes or I don't know, alcohol or drugs. There are so many more type of addictions that some are smaller, some are bigger, and people don't seem to be able to control their own addictions. So this three-headed monster is actually the addiction itself.
Which is a great external metaphor because I feel like it's open to interpretation, but the concept is open enough to the point where it doesn't feel like people are being forced to learn something. It really, there's something so beautiful. I feel like it's a song that is both a lullaby but also terrifying.
Thank you. It sure is. When I was composing melody for the lyrics and putting the music together with the lyrics, I did imagine a horror movie almost. And this monster is actually in our head, and we blame something else for our addictions when really is our own demons
Yeah.
telling us one more cigarette and you're done, or one more cupcake and you're good, or whatever it is, your addiction, it could be coffee, whatever.
It's how all addictions start. Oh,
Yeah.
this is the first time. I won't do that for a week. Oh, now I won't do that for a couple of days. Well, I did just do it yesterday, but this will be the one time I do it 2
And
days in
hey,
a row.
please understand, we all have addictions. I have my own addictions. What I'm trying to say with this song and with this right now is that we have to be able to face our own addictions, embrace them, and only then we will be able to control them. Because if you like to have a drink now and then, you can control that. If you like to have sweets now and then, you can control that. You don't have to stuff your face with all this bad things for you that destroys your body, your soul, your mental health. You become useless for the society, useless for your family, useless for your friends, useless in general. Is that how you want to live your life? I don't think so. Nobody does that. But it's very easy to give in, and just be like, I'm cheating every day.
And you mentioned the horror movie reference, but the song is very real. Like, I've never thought that, like Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers were the scary horror movie villains. It's like, but to me, like, the song is so real. This actually has the scariest aspects.
Correct.
Like one of my favorite movies that isn't horror, but Falling Down with Michael Douglas. I don't know if you saw that, but that is a scary motherfucker. And that is how people, that to me is a real scary horror thing. So kind of that
the
analogy.
song itself, it starts with the word temptation. It says, stay away from temptations, dark, sinister cloud.
Yeah.
Because this cloud, the sinister cloud, hangs above us, that always like tells you what to do. Yeah. And you feel like you can't control that shit? You can. I'm telling you, you can. You're stronger than that.
Absolutely. Now, I kind of wanted to go deep back into the catalog, as we were talking about before we started rolling, but this year is the 10-year anniversary of Asylum, your debut album. I mean, kind of going backwards in time, what was the thought process behind Asylum? Because, like, going from that to Embrace Eternity to 86 to now, there's just such an evolution.
Thank you.
And Asylum, I mean, I was like not even done with high school when that album came out, but like
true. Long
so
ago.
like what was your mindset going into that album as opposed to now with Endorphin?
Asylum. First of all, I gotta start with the fact that was initially the first idea for the band, but it appeared, we Googled it, obviously we did our research, and it was taken. So we are like, we're keeping this for the first album. Now, it also brings together the whole madness of everything that happened in our life before. I never been a singer before Infected Rain. This Asylum is my first record. And first time doing something I wasn't even really taught how to do. and I was self-taught for a while. Then I did have some vocal lessons to understand what to do back in the day, right? But man, to record that album, we all had to roll our sleeves, work double shifts, 2, 3 jobs to invest in that album. We knew that we need to do that. So for us, it was like, it's not just an album, it's the baby. It's that first big step in the career that helped us finally have something, have that little baggage, have that little here, portfolio or whatever other artists have normally. So with that, everything kind of started.
Okay.
Now, answering your question, um, for me it was, I don't know, I wish I could meet myself 10 years ago and say it's okay to be the way you are, because with that first album I was very insecure, mainly as a vocalist, but also as a performer. I never been on stage before. So being on stage and performing something that I created with my boys from Infected Rain was, for me, was very challenging, because in my head I was like, nobody needs this.
Yeah.
Nobody wants this.
And then you have an acoustic version of, I forgot what song off Embrace Eternity. I think Dancing.
No. Yeah, Dancing Alone, correct.
Dancing Alone, yeah. And then who would have thought that you would do an acoustic
Yeah.
version where it's even more raw?
Correct.
So.
Correct. So that's with the second album. But yeah, at the time, every single comment, every single feedback, I would like have it go through me. Like it was so a lot. I was very anxious about every single reaction for the band. So I wish I could meet Lena from 10 years ago and say, you're doing fine. It's okay,
I was there 10 years ago saying, you're doing fine.
Yeah.
So, and another thing, because when I interviewed you on the phone for the first time, which I can't believe was almost 3 years ago, but
Yeah.
you mentioned that you use paint as a paintbrush, and I think that's one reason why a lot of people relate to you, because your music is honest about your struggles and what you've been through. Do you think that this time of isolation that we've lived in and anxiety and uncertainty maybe is fueling the fire for what the follow-up to Endorphin is going to be?
Well, it already did, because we already recorded the next album. It's coming out in January.
Oh, awesome.
Yes, and before that, we will release a bunch of music videos and singles. But it did, not only, but certain other things that happened in my life prior to the pandemic, kind of all together led me to, they led me to the state of mind that I had while writing lyrics for the new album. So yeah, I think the newer album is even more raw and more emotional than ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you planning to make a direct continuation off Endorphin? Because for a lot of people, Endorphin was their first Infected Rain album.
Yes, I know, because Endorphin was our first album under a label.
Yep.
Because we've
Shout out to Napalm.
Shout out to Napalm, and I believe I'm gonna meet somebody from the Napalm's office here in New York today.
Oh, you're
too.
in for a treat tonight. Every
Yeah.
time a Napalm band plays here, it's a party every
Good,
time.
good,
Wait till
good.
you're gonna meet a couple people.
I really hope so, because I only met everybody from Europe so
Yeah.
far. So yes, I'm super excited. But you're right, Endorphin didn't really have its fair share, because we only went on tour one time after the release.
Yeah, with Lacuna Coil and
Correct, and LVT in Europe. It was a hell of a tour, absolutely fantastic, beautiful, but extremely long tour. So I'm so happy that happened before the pandemic. No, it's not gonna be, this album is not gonna be like part 2 or anything like that. It's a completely new era, a completely new us. We had a lot of time, so we took our sweet ass time to record that.
Cool.
Yeah.
And the final question I wanted to ask you is, I've been following you on YouTube as well with your bananas thing.
Yeah.
It's so much fun, and it
Thank
was
you.
awesome at NAMM. Do you put a similar creative energy into that, or maybe even present yourself in a similar way, or maybe even convey a similar message with that outlet as you do with Infected Rain, or is that
Oh,
like
absolutely. No, it's It's if you know me or the band at all, you will know that I try my best to always speak about honesty and speak about being yourself, and that's what I apply to myself as well, as much as humanly possible. So what you see on my YouTube channel, what you see when I create with my band, what you see when I do modeling, or any other types of activities I do at all, it's always the same me. I look the same. I don't have a specific look on stage that you won't see in a photo shoot. And, like, it's just the way it is. It's just me. So we are very diverse. So it's the diversity that I can show. And yeah, that's just, it's not different at all. It's the same approach.
It's always equally positive
Yeah.
and honest.
I try to.
So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time. Great.
Thank you for having me.
I can't think of a better first interview to have back at my favorite venue
Thank
in
you,
the city.
thank you.
Just anything else you'd like to promote after this tour with Butcher Babies?
Well, keep an eye on everything new that's coming up very soon. Infected Rain is celebrating 13 years since on stage and 10 years anniversary of the first album. But other than that, keep on supporting the bands. You guys, we need you more than ever. More than ever. Seriously. Thank you for always remembering about the artists you love. Keep it
Awesome.
up.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everybody, Lena of Infected Rain. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.